me that green light. Give me that Greenlight Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that Greenlight Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that Greenlight Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that Greenlight Maine.
Welcome to Greenlight Maine. We are kicking off our college edition this week. This competition has grown each year, and with it, so has technology and innovation. This is a lineup you will see nowhere else but right here. There is no question the entrepreneurs will make you proud of everything that is happening in colleges and universities across our great state. And today, it's all about advancing healthcare. First, let's say hello to our judges who are change makers in economic development and who have a ton of passion to move Maine forward. First, we have Amy LaShore. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Julene. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Amy LaShore. I'm Senior Investment Officer at Maine Technology Institute, or MTI, where we invest grants, loans, and equity into startups and larger businesses who are expanding in innovations in their R&D and scaling, both in the state and out.
Well, MTI does so much for businesses, so thank you. Next up, we have Garvin Donegan. Hey, Garvin.
Hey, Julene. Great to be with you today. Garvin Donegan, Director of Planning, Innovation, Economic Development with the Central Maine Growth Council and Principal Investigator of Dirigo Labs. The Growth Council is a public-private, mission-driven economic development corporation in Waterville, Maine, and Dirigo Labs is one of the state's newest regional technology accelerator programs.
And you have done so much, not just for the Central Maine region, but for all of Maine, so kudos to you. And our third judge is Melissa Marcarell. Hey, Mel.
Thanks, Julene. I'm so thrilled to be here as part of the Greenlight Maine initiatives helping to support Maine innovation. As you mentioned, my name is Mel Marcarell, and I get to serve as the Director of Consumer Banking for Bangor Savings Bank. I get to support two of our most amazing teams. First is our Bangor Support, our external call center, as well as our internal call center, where we get to support the daily operations of our 65 branches across our footprint.
That is so interesting. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I know you're very busy people, and you have committed to be with us throughout the series, so that is such a treat. All right, are you ready? From the University of New England, our first pitch is Ready, Set, Return.
We are Ready, Set, Return. We are a mobile application to help guide clinicians through anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction. What is the need for Ready, Set, Return? There's a large variability in anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction rehabilitation, and when you search for the latest evidence, more than 20 extensive guidelines come up. This makes it challenging for clinicians to keep up with the newest evidence. Finding the time to figure out which guidelines are the best is challenging for clinicians. Also, only 66% of athletes are able to return to their prior level of performance. Of those that do return, 30% have a chance of re-tearing their anterior cruciate ligament. Re-tearing ultimately results in more healthcare expenses to restart the entire process over again. We need to do better, and this is our solution.
The video you are seeing is directly from our app. We wanted to include this to show how it works. Within the app, we have included evidence-based milestones to allow clinicians to guide patients through goals that they must meet to progress through their rehab. The guidelines out there are tedious to sort through for both athletic trainers and physical therapists. So having all of them together in the app will help them save time, but allow them to still provide the best care possible. If the milestones we included are not met, patients will be at high risk for re-injury when trying to return to sport. There is no app on the market like this today. This app was already tested among athletic trainers and physical therapists practicing in southern Maine. In our feasibility study, 92% of our participants, both athletic trainers and physical therapists, strongly agreed that they would use this app in clinical practice. We are going to use the feedback that they gave us to help improve the app as it continues through its phases of development.
We have already begun marketing in southern Maine and have found great success. Over 90% of the clinicians who trialed the app agreed that the content within it would help them to make better clinical decisions. This is especially important in that many athletes in Maine live in areas where access to healthcare is limited. Ready, Set, Return can serve as a gateway to maximizing healthcare services in these underserved areas. Our goal, once establishing the app on the market, is to use a portion of the proceeds to fund continuing education opportunities for clinicians in Maine, especially those living in more rural communities.
In order to get the app on the market, our expected costs are to be $186,000. This includes the app designers, a third-party company to handle HIPAA requirements, as well as marketing costs. Given our success from the prototype, we have used the number of clinicians who said they'd use the app to find an estimate of subscribers within their first year in Maine. We expect to earn over $46,000 within the first year of launching. By our second year, we hope to expand the market throughout the New England area and expand our target audience. Based on the number of clinicians and companies available in New England, our expected revenue for the second year is $389,923.
Cassidy and Jonathan, what a useful tool that's advancing the healthcare industry. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, Amy, kick us off with questions.
That was really great. I really appreciated how you walked us through the application in real time, just the different pictures that someone using the application would encounter. And I wanted to also say that I love Ready, Set, Return as a name for your company. It explains exactly what you're trying to do with your application. It's great news that so many of your testers said that they would use your application. Did you gather information while you were speaking with them about the price point? For example, they're on board if it's a certain, range, a subscription from $5 to $12 a month, or is it per user, or did you get more information there?
We didn't talk to the participants directly about the cost. We came up with our own cost. We talked to MDs, medical doctors, about what they felt would be an appropriate price, and we came up with $99.99 for the first time download, and then an additional yearly fee of $49.99 per user. So each clinic would download the app and then add different users for the different clinicians that are using the app.
That's reasonable. Garvin.
A great job with the pitch. Congratulations to your team, and really like the platform. Looks nice and clean and pristine, with some good technical data points in there as well. I was wondering if you could share your client generation strategy and or any perspectives you have on your CAC or your client acquisition costs.
Sure. So kind of the first thing that we did as we were testing sort of the first version of Ready, Set, Return, we reached out to physical therapists and athletic trainers that were in the southern Maine area, most of which we already had contact with because we're physical therapy students. So a lot of them were either clinicians that we've worked with before or that we just had connections to in the state. So sort of what we plan to do right away is keep using all of the networking that we have within the state. We're in our third year of grad school here, so we've made a lot of connections. So our plan is to kind of keep moving forward that way and hoping that because physical therapy and athletic training are pretty close-knit communities, especially in the state of Maine, that word of mouth is going to be really important for us to kind of get the word around about the app.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Mel.
Guys, that's a great pitch. A personal passion of mine is process improvement, and your idea really is taking something that exists today, but maybe doesn't work great for your target audience, and you're kind of packaging it together and making it better. That said, during your pitch, you did mention that there is about 20 different guidance or guidelines out there for physical therapists to follow. Can you tell us a little bit about your plan in terms of selling your approach? How are you going to get the message out that your approach is the best approach for these clinicians to take?
So what we came up with, or what we found in our research, is that clinicians that work in rural areas don't have the best access to the latest clinical guidelines, which we based our app around. And it also takes time to sort through them, pick and choose which ones they think are best. So the goal of the app is to provide them all in one easy-to-use platform so that they can be more efficient in their time.
And I think, too, really promoting just that it's going to be efficient is something that most clinicians are looking for, something that can help save them time, especially if they are in a busy clinic or trying to sort through information that they're not familiar with. So I think kind of our main thing is what you said, efficiency. It's kind of our goal.
Great job. Some great answers there. You definitely have done your research, and there's no doubt that you're going to help a lot of people. So, congratulations. Thank you so much. We have to take a quick break. A word from our sponsors, but don't go away because You May Style is on deck.
Bangor Savings Bank, committed to investing in its employees, customers, and communities to help create a stronger Northern New England. Bangor Savings Bank. You matter more.
Maine Technology Institute, offering grants, loans, and equity investments to help support Maine's innovation economy and committed to supporting new ideas with potential to grow. Visit mainetechnology.org.
Welcome back to the Greenlight Maine College Edition. This next pitch is for women everywhere. Let's watch Memo Wave from the University of Maine Presque Isle.
Once we learned that 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer, we knew we had to act. I am Kendra, and as co-founder of WAVE with Professor Andre Cleo, we have been working with UMaine's Office of Innovation and the CompUMaine Biomedical Research Lab to develop an interdisciplinary team that is revolutionizing the way breast cancer is detected. Over the last decade, we developed a technology that radiologists could utilize for not only finding a tumor, but also for detecting the most difficult type of cancers for doctors to identify. But we could not stop there. Breast cancer is the most common cancer globally. So now we are redefining the time of diagnosis by finding evidence of a tumor on a mammogram before it is detectable using current methods. While finishing the prototype of our decision support system for radiologists, we have connected with over 200 people in the field and have ongoing conversations with 9 international industry leaders that could lead to a licensing agreement. Each year, 40 million mammograms are performed in the US to find breast tumors, and computer algorithms have assisted radiologists in the interpretation of mammograms for over 2 decades. However, these programs are causing unnecessary biopsies, increasing evaluation times, and have even caused some patients' cancers to be missed. After interviewing 7 expert radiologists nationally and internationally, we found there is distrust in the use of these programs. This distrust is the result of the current technology's reactive approach that relies heavily on an adequate machine learning process. This leads to companies and hospitals asking radiologists to rely on computer outputs that are based on measurements that do not have a clinical meaning for them. Ultimately, this can affect the quality of care for the patient. But we offer a solution with Waved. Waved has an adaptable calibration process, unlike our competitors, and its predictive approach provides interpretable measurements for medical professionals. Waved is a service for radiologists that allows a medical center to send mammograms to our server. We use our automated technology to detect areas of breast tissue that show abnormal organization that may precede a tumor. We use this information to estimate the patient's risk of developing breast cancer before sending our results back to the hospital. This information can be used to develop a personalized screening plan for the patient, potentially limiting exposure to radiation or providing the patient with access to supplemental screening. And now that over 90% of mammograms are analyzed with software from our competitors without great clinical improvements, we need to incorporate the company and finish IP negotiations in order to enter the $1.8 billion global mammography market. Maine radiologists will be the first to be offered this service. We will analyze about 1.5% of mammograms from Maine, and we will charge per mammogram. This will result in $500,000 in revenue year 1. But more importantly, Wave will offer better breast health for our sisters, grandmothers, our mothers, and all the other women so important to our families. And this is just the beginning. We will grow our Maine-based service by hiring technicians, computer scientists, and business leaders to begin to offer Wave nationally and internationally, while also expanding into 3D mammography and pancreatic cancer.
Kendra, unnecessary biopsies and early detection, where do we sign up for this?
Yes, so this project started out of the University of Maine, and we're working with the Office of Innovation to commercialize the product. Right now, we are in the process of finishing up the prototype, so we do hope to have it to market within about 3 years, which would put us at around 2025.
Awesome. Okay, Mel, kick us off with questions.
Thanks, Julene. Kendra, congratulations on an amazing pitch. Julene said it best, early detection and treatment for these cancers is definitely something that's much needed in our industry. Can you talk to us a little bit about your plans around how you do plan to make change or get the health industry to sort of shift from their traditional practices to your new business model?
Yes. So our project started over 10 years ago, and I have been working with Professor Andre Khalil with this project. And over the last 2 years, we started working on commercialization of the project. And we have connected with over 200 people in the industry. And most of those are people who work for large companies. So they are leaders in the current methods that are being used in the hospitals. And we have begun conversations with them. And our whole goal is to work with them to validate our technology. And once we validate our technology, we hope to shift the trend in the medical field by showing that our technology actually works better than what's currently being used. And not only is it better, but it actually provides interpretable measurements for the radiologist. And in addition to talking to these large companies and connecting with them and getting their feedback and allowing them to help us with our next steps, we also have several radiologists that are on our team and also breast oncologists. So we get their feedback as the project progresses as well.
Garvin.
Yeah, good afternoon. Spectacular pitch, Kendra. Really exciting product and associated technology. You mentioned a little bit about this in your deck, in your pitch, but can you further address the size of your addressable total market and maybe touch on the relative competition in that space as well?
Sure. So the market is about $1.8 billion, and that's globally. And most of the market is based out of digital mammography. The CAD portion of that, so the computer aided detection, which is what we're working on, makes up about 20% of that market. And 90% of mammograms, of all screening mammograms, are analyzed with some type of CAD technology right now. So when we talk about analyzing Maine mammograms, to start with, we're really analyzing roughly about between 1,500 and almost 4,000 mammograms in our first year. And that's really going to be our entry port into this larger market.
Spectacular. Thank you.
Amy.
So I really enjoyed your presentation. You have good presence. My question comes from, as I was listening to you speak about the decision to support system, I have more questions about the innovation itself. Like in particular, how is this innovation different than what's on the market today?
Yeah, so most of the products that are on the market today are based on what's called machine learning. And so that process involves a mammogram going to a server, so a computer system, and it's analyzed using certain algorithms. And what happens is the computer ends up teaching itself, and it gives an output to the radiologist. However, since the computer is teaching itself, it's hard to know what the radiologist measurement actually means, right? So it's teaching itself and it's spitting out this result. But what it means is very hard for a radiologist or really anybody to say, this number means this, right? Because the computer taught itself. And so when you think about a radiologist addressing a patient and saying, we think you're going to develop cancer, it's very difficult for a medical professional to defend that when the measurement doesn't have a physical meaning for the medical professional.
Great answer. I'm just curious, what led you down this path?
Yeah, so when I first started to apply for schools, I was interested into going into the medical field, but I was also really good at mathematics. And so I decided to go with math. And then towards the end of my bachelor's degree, I connected with a biomedical research lab. And that's where I really fell in love with the idea of improving breast health for patients.
Awesome. Well, you are an absolute change maker. We wish you all the best, Kendra.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to hear from our judges, so don't go away.
Martins Point Generations Advantage, offering comprehensive Medicare Advantage plans. Information at martinspoint.org.
Risk is not the same thing as uncertainty. For many entrepreneurs starting out, everything to them seems to be uncertainty. They're uncertain as to whether their product will sell, They're uncertain as to whether or not they'll be able to raise capital, or even if they'll be able to manufacture their product for a reasonable price and still be able to make a profit. What's interesting is that uncertainty is usually always mistaken as being risk. In fact, it is an entrepreneur's job to turn uncertainty into risk, because when something is a risk, then there's a way to mitigate it and measure it. The more a risk can be assessed and the individual elements of what makes it a risk can be identified, the more an entrepreneur is able to evaluate that risk. The more a risk can be evaluated, the better an entrepreneur is able to understand to what degree he or she has a chance to succeed. As a result of being able to understand what the risk is, what the circumstances are, and what the chances are for a successful outcome, the entrepreneur is able to turn what seems to be uncertainty into a calculated risk. And calculated risk is what an entrepreneur is looking for.
Welcome back to the Greenlight Maine College Edition. It's time for our judges to talk this through, and it's important to note that our judges get to spend some time off camera getting to know these entrepreneurs and what their goals are. So if you hear them speak of something that you haven't heard before, then that's why. Okay, Amy, kick us off.
Sure. Of the two companies, it seems to me that Ready, Set, Return is most closest to commercialization. They are almost ready with launch, and however, I'd like to see them niche out of just being solely of service of one individual injury, the ACL injury, and I think they could maybe really gain some growth from branching out into other sectors for physical recovery. Memo Waved is still in their proof of concept. It's going to take a number more years for them to understand the ramifications of their technology and the efficacy. So, it's going to be a while till we see what they can do. But if they do, in fact, do their proof of concept, it could be really a game changer.
Definitely. All right, Garvin, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Ready, Set, Return, Mama Wave, two really exciting Maine-based startups with great Maine-based entrepreneurs. Like that, both the companies reflect not just a collegiate lens insofar as the academic background, but bringing that institutional background to some degree in both the startups. Agree with Amy insofar as Ready, Set, looking a little bit more market ready by design, just in the timeline, but would like to hear a little bit more about upside opportunities in terms of institutional partners and pilot programs. Mama Wave, just really exciting with regards to shaking up the landscape in terms of medical diagnoses on an issue I know we all care about. Very exciting to have the perspective of new IP being launched in the state of Maine. And really, I think in so many ways, thinking about the team, Mama Wave has a spectacular technical team, an advisory team as well. Credit to both the entrepreneurs and the associated startup teams.
Nice. Mel.
Thanks, Julene. So I agree with both Garvin and Amy. Two amazing pitches by a group of amazing individuals. Ready, Set, Return. I think my concerns there are really driven around the ability to replicate their business model. They are taking information that exists today and kind of putting it in a format that is easy for folks to interpret and use, which I love. I mean, making anything simple and easy is a great improvement. But they're taking data that exists today and sort of just putting it together in one. With Mama Waved, one of the things that really stood out to me that she mentioned was the concept of leveraging her idea with large corporations or large institutions today. I'm a firm believer that you need buy-in from folks in order to sort of sell your product, for lack of a better word, and I think that she's sort of putting that to use today by working with some of the larger institutions in Maine.
Excellent. Great comments by all three of you. And I really want to make note of how encouraging and helpful that you all were off camera of trying to mentor them and connect them to just people that can really help them. And that's just shows how everybody together works together in Maine to move forward. So thank you so much. All right, we got to take a quick break. Don't go away, because when we come back, we'll have this round's winner.
Albin, Randall, and Bennett, committed to providing accounting solutions to Greenlight Maine startups, working with businesses and organizations that operate locally and nationally. ARBCPA.com.
Through their efforts to support Maine entrepreneurs who are growing our economy, Greenlight Maine is making our state a better place to start and operate a business. For these efforts and the creation of a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem, the Harold Alfond Institute for Business Innovation at Thomas College is proud to be a sponsor of Greenlight Maine.
First Park, a 285-acre business park located in Oakland, Maine, offering fiber internet, 3-phase power, and pre-permitted sites for businesses to start or expand. Details at firstpark.com.
Welcome back to Greenlight Maine, the college edition. We're moments away from finding out today's winner, but it's important to point out you can still lose your round in this series and go on to the finals. And also, I'd like to point out the criteria that our judges are scoring on. It's scalability, feasibility, innovation, overall quality, and the ability to stay in Maine and create jobs, of course. All right, here we go. Judges, I'm going to count you down from 3. 3, 2, 1. And that means Mamo Waved is the winner of today's round. Congratulations, Kendra. What's going through your mind?
Thank you. I'm just thinking this was such a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see what the next steps are.
That's all the time we have today. We love hearing from you, so please check out our social pages, and you can see all of our episodes on greenlightmaine.com. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.